So, the next reader for us is Uriel Girdley, he called himself an aspiring poet since 2002. He has hosted multiple reading series and open mics in Bloomington, Indiana, and the Louisville, Kentucky area. His two books are Collecting the Girl from 2013 and This Poem Drank the Wine, 2015. And he's currently working on a collection of children's poems. His work has appeared in various publications and on public bathroom stalls. Please join me in welcoming Ian. You're up.
Sorry, I was talking to someone. You guys mind if I... There we go. I thought Joan was taller than me. Spring comes like summer, New Albany, Indiana, March 26, 2009. Dogs frolic in front yards, celebrating end of cold days, let out to be shivering, celebrating spring strollers down the side street sidewalk, celebrating white blossoms falling over our chain link fence, dancing to the lawn. Bright sun beckoning, memories spring from my head of whiskey lazy days, waltzing through People's Park in one of those beatific Bloomington summers. When college boys don't want to fight after too many Jaeger bomb shots, just shout loudly to friends passing by from crowded bar patios. And the girls, unafraid in their sundresses and flip-flops, non-apprehensive of our blatant sexuality. Jeff and I flirting with the day, ogling and innuendo like whimsical musings on space and time. Whimsical like these white petals, now carpeting the yard, half grass, half dirt, now soft white. And people bought my coffee store poetry books, $3 a pop. Me buying us beers after every sale, and cigarettes. We offer whiskey shots from an old crow bottle to random passersby, and they accept, grimace them down, trying hard to still smile, to thank us and to chat about bittersweet nothingness of summer. Then smiling, naturally, no one running late anywhere, nowhere more important than the space of now. Then the utopian center of 20-somethingness, bohemic Bloomington consciousness under summer smiles, where no one needs to write, no one needs to paint or work or hurry or worry, just smoke cigarettes and drink cold beers, waltz through the park like dogs dancing with white tree blossoms, basking in the sun. Hi, my name is Uriel Girdley. I'll be reading some. I'm going to read a few kids' poems. I've been working on a kids' book, and my number one fan's right there, Arlo. Do you want to hear some kids' poems? Awesome. If I can find one, here we go. I spotted a toad that was not a toad, but perhaps a leaf or a bump on the road. But still to you, I will swear I spied that bumper leaf swallow a fly. Standing on a mirror. I wonder how wondrous would be the upside-down world with upside-down boys and upside-down girls. Would eagles still perch at the top of the trees? Or would the top be where dogs lift their legs down to pee? Would fish have to swim up to the lake bed? And when we're just standing, do we stand on our head? And if upside-down kids stand on a mirror, do you think that they think that the upside-down's here? I love these kind of poetry crowds where there's no like applauding or snapping or booing, it's just all silent judgment. You're doing great, man. Okay, I'm gonna read one more. This is a brand new one. This is a rough draft, so it might change. It might be longer or shorter, which is fitting for the theme of the poem. How come my foot's so large to an ant, but seems so very tiny if you're an elephant? Could it be that size really doesn't matter and it's just the perspective of the observer? Like how the moon shrinks and grows and is never scary, but would seem frighteningly huge if it fell on me. Ooh, there you go. Isn't it funner to clap, Arlo? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to switch back to some adult stuff. I'm going to keep it fairly appropriate. If a bad word slips through, I'm sorry. Earmuffs. Awesome. This is another kind of Bloomington-inspired poem called On Our Wasted Life as Drunken Poets. And my poems won't all be about drinking or kids' poems, so we'll get into some other stuff too. Reluctantly. I saw Dennis Ray Powell Jr. drinking whiskey out of a paper bag on the corner of Kirkwood and Dunn, and it seemed like he was me. I was smoking a camel filter cigarette, repeating the word emphysema until it sounded funny. Our livers felt funny. Dennis's brain gets slippery when he drinks like that, sliding into crazed random bursts of joy shouts and push-ups, or sometimes sadness. I wish I could think of a metaphor for sadness, but sadness is just sadness. Watching 100 blank faces a day, trying to avoid it, to play the happiness role. We're all auditioning, guessing at the right script to try to fit into something. And what choice do we have but to act? Should we think to ourselves, internalize our dramatic monologue, and really try to believe that we are the star? Dennis poses for the camera and takes another whiskey shot. He might have made a damn fine sailor had he not jumped off the ship. And maybe he will become that great American writer. Maybe just a great American. Vote Republican, pay his taxes, and buy a house, or write a poem. God damn how much time we waste writing poems instead of eating, instead of earning a buck, or sending Game Boys to starving children. And how much of a waste does that carpenter think our life is, or the baker, or the pizza delivery driver, when I could not afford to leave him tip and should have been eating at the community kitchen and paying rent? But I'll bet a sawbuck will be banging on those same pearly gates, begging St. Peter let us in, and we wasted poets will be singing sonnets to heaven as we plummet down that dark shaft of hell. Could you spare $1 then for a limerick? What the hell good will it do you now, and what the hell good will any poem do, when Shakespeare just wants a shot of whiskey, when all of our souls are watered down and burning? What then have we made of ourselves? Thank you. You can also boo. That is allowed, and I don't mind. There we go. Primus sucks! Oh, sorry. That's an old school reference. Some of you might not get it. My hat was left back by the campfire outside of your house last night. Now the sun is in my eyes. Would you return it to me today, if you please, and I'll give back your sunglasses. We can sip whiskey the rest of the day, together without squinting. I have a lot of short ones. I'm going to try to read longer-ish ones, because that way it doesn't feel that I read like 100 poems. Anyone ever worked in a convenience store? You'll probably get this poem. It's called Polar Pops and Cigarillos. They drag in wearing dirty clothes, pay for their Newports and Pall Malls with laundry change, with dirty change dug out of couch cushions and car floorboards, counted out on the counter, coins stick together, stick to your fingers. They take change from the tray to pay the tax. They wear their woes like sad mascara, like bad foundation that can't hide the heaviness of life, puffy under dim eyes. They fill 32-ounce fountain drinks for 69 cents on a food stamp card. Sometimes candy bars and gummy worms, snacks for friends or lovers. Some laughing riotously while others argue in hushed screams. Who said what? Who's paying the rent? Whose mom's watching the kids? Questions inconsequential to candy. They wear Goodwill rags and worn thin sweats, wear brand new FUBU and Fila and flannel pajamas. They float in mirror-eyed, sweet skunk smell. Yo, yo, give me a Rillo. Then flabbergasted to be asked which kind of cigarillo they want. There are at least 15 varieties: strawberry, peach, wine, white grape, what have you. They buy 2 liters too, and milk and flour and sugar, caffeine pills, little packets of 4 aspirin capsules, and every once in a while toilet paper. They put less than a gallon of gas in their car, come back later for more, buy lottery tickets and scratch them off on the counter, or save them for their return home, linger, then spend the rest of their $10 or $20 on a few more in anticipation of losing. Or they don't buy anything, just want to use the phone or bathroom, where they eat unpaid hostess and turkey sandwiches on white, leave soggy leftovers hidden in the back of the toilet, take shooters of B Make Star, chase the cheap beer they bought from the liquor store in the opposite corner, or just talk to the poor jaded clerk who could care less behind the polite chuckle and convenience store smile, barely engaging with his automated minimum wage banter, or just walk around browsing the sugary cakes, or shoplifting, or walking out with pockets full of free straws and amaretto creamer packs. We'll do a little bit of Ars Poetica. That's poetry about poetry, kind of meta. This is not a poet on the poem. I don't think this crowd's quite ready for that. I don't know, maybe. Can you hear me in the back? Done? No? Okay. We'll skip it. Oh, how well they wrote. Those who wrote before us are but fossils, imprints within swaths of stone. We outline their poems with greedy fingers. This is how they must have lived. Oh, how well they wrote. But can you feel them breathing from decaying lungs? Do their poems celebrate today, or lie lifeless on aged limestone? We find no now, only the then of antiquated times read in the words we now sequester from their hardbound elegiac tombstone. Oh, how well they wrote. That was how they must have lived. We close our tome, breathe deeply, return our poet to the dead, bury them again, breathe deeply, and pick up our pen. I'm going to take a little breather from this book. I have 2 books. I'm reading primarily out of this one. They're both available online. Or if I ever have one, you can probably talk me out of a copy. So, speaking of not reading shorter poems, haiku's doesn't really translate well to live readings, so I'm going to read some haiku. But I'm going to do it rapid fire, if I can find them again. These have been lost for quite a while. There we go. Okay. Snow settles down on bare maple branches and green pine needles. Toastmaster oven, Whirlpool mini microwave, and no food to cook. This one you all might be too young for, but some of the older people will get it. Fingers tap on desk, a foot bounces anxiously, web page still loading. Gray granule cement fills vast spaces in between fallen broken leaves. Brother sticks his arm out car window. Jesus Christ! A bird just hit me! That one's a true story. He wasn't even paying attention, but his arm got hit by a bird. Drinking ice water at the video saloon, despite beer at home. Dance crazed disco night, walked pretty blonde home from bar. Today my feet hurt. Couple more. Lady pushes cart full of plastic bags, full of more bags, I think. And we'll end with a more natural one, because they're supposed to be about nature, but it's debatable. Soft green grass stays green after nightfall when it seems hardened midnight black. And I think that's all from my phone. I think I'm still good on time. We'll get back into not a kid's poem, but kind of a sing-songy one that's written for adults. It's called Ales Are on the House. A young man sat at the local saloon with his pockets empty yet full of the blues. So on the house he requested a beer to wash down his sorrows and tears. And to the bartender he told, "Within a week I'll pay you back threefold." So the barkeep did serve him up, offering the youth an empty cup. So the bartender, "If you pay as such, I'll pour you up 3 times as much." Get into kind of some Lake Monroe poems. Bug flew into my ear. A fallen maple. My hand brushes across a branch, fondling the leaves like fingertips of lost lovers. The tree leans over crying. Later is broken up for fire. It still burns under a griddle as I pour maple syrup over pancakes and contemplate dying. Returning from Monroe Reservoir, or Bob Dylan in a Honda. The car roof was still hot to touch, but the sky, now a blue, bluer than blue, was cool, light and dark, simultaneously blue. Through the windshield, red-tinted clouds began to set on the forested horizon like pink elephants returning home in a mist. Evening wind whipped in the windows, fondling the 4 men and their dogs, tuckered out swimmers returning home for a nap, heads bobbing to Bob Dylan floating from the speakers. The car did not choose its music, but its engine ran well with his lyrics. The Honda Civic got good gas mileage, and figured Mr. Dylan would approve of this trip. It was so cool earlier, and I was wet from the rain, and now it's hot and I'm wet from sweat. It's a great situation to be in. So this poem is ekphrastic, is that the right term? An ekphrastic poem, and it was based on actually a photograph instead of a painting. I have a couple ekphrastics in here, but this is Where Must We Go in Winter? So it might hit better a few months from now, but we'll see. Day awakes a blank page, chaste glistening white from horizon to horizon. Denizens sleep in trees or burrow underground, know the cycles to come, or peer from concrete lofts, off dread, leaving their nests, but walk this way and that with cold feet. Barely shed flakes of dead skin off calloused soles into wool socks, going nowhere really. Back and forth in designer shoes cycled each autumn shopping season. Who will be the first to pervert winter's perfection, the second and the third, and how many? First, parallel lines of pockmarks, then a blackened rash, then paths paved, riding their monotony with humdrum footsteps, heads down, depraved arches in their backs. Summer ants, sated without need or desire, dragging themselves half asleep in circles around their silver platter world without purpose or words. If only the grass could speak, sleeping yellow under compacted snow, meditates as Buddhist monks awaiting rebirth, when spring enlightens the grayscale landscape, resurrecting green and suggestions of red, birds and squirrels leaping from trees because the grass speaks of spring's coming. Then would the feet not shed their shoes, run naked in new directions, seeking beauty, never to return but reborn, or now behind warm windows rest and pray, awaiting that day, not to disturb nor pretend an importance above next season returning, an homage to winter's cold, dormant beauty. I'll read a couple more. And I lost one of my things, so give me just a second. To make sure that everything I read today was decently appropriate for the general public. Okay, we'll skip that one. The Hitchhiker Number 1. The highway is lonely as I walk the shoulder along 4 dead lanes. I can hear tires hum against the pavement in the distance, but they never seem to be traveling this far. I hear my EKGing footstep and imagine a car with blinding lights stopping by to give me a ride. But no, it won't come, and wouldn't stop if it did, just blow on by, pressing the night's chill into my skin. The moon hides behind a veil of clouds, casting a glow just bright enough for me to see the road. The tall grass rustles towards me on the left. I face it, and an invisible creature rustles away. I continue walking toward the dim luminescence of smog on the horizon, some city, some distance ahead. Should have brought my handkerchief. I didn't know it was going to be warm. Oh no, I'm good. Thank you though. This is my last poem. I think I can sweat through it. My eyes just sting a bit, and it'll make a good poem someday. This is another piece of sort of Ars Poetica, but it was actually based on a Girls Live Journal post. And it's the title poem of this book. This poem, Drank the Wine, available on Amazon and other online retail outlets. This poem, Drank the Wine. But don't buy it there. Come buy it from me when I do another reading sometime. This poem, Drank the Wine, for the 3rd time. She writes drunk poems in her underwear, then wears them the next day. Sweat and ink run down her thigh, staining her sock band black. The poems are happy, puking down her legs, existing on their cotton canvas, publicly intoxicated against her ass. No one else knows how much passion she has in her pants, written the night before over a bottle of wine. But today by 2 o'clock, the sweat has stopped, the ink is dried, and the poems are just hungover. Thank you all for listening to me. Thank Writers Guild for having me. And thank all the readers and performers and everyone. Oh, this is an awesome event. And thank the guys up in the tent writing their butts off while we're just reading stuff we've already written and read over again. So there's where the talent is. And to the person that read before me.